Love music. Live sport. Talking football with Bill Young, Hugh Burns and Paul Hegarty on Rock Sport Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Talking Football for this Friday night. Let me remind you, you're listening to Rock Sport Radio. Bill Young and Hugh Burns with you until now, and then Paul Hegarty joins us at 6:30. DAB Digital Radio is how you listen to us across central Scotland. Online at rocksportradio.co.uk. And of course, you can listen via your smartphone. If you have an iPhone, you can listen via the TuneIn app. If you have an Android phone, you can listen via TuneIn and the Radiogram app. And if you want to watch the programme, this is when you do it, son. Go on, give your wee wave. If you want to watch the programme live, you can do that. And that's on Facebook, Twitter and Periscope. That's enough now. You look as if you're in, you should be in a special needs class doing it like that. I'm sorry, but it's true. I must say hello to Andy, the photo doctor, who says, another night at Scotstoun, waiting on my boy who's doing rugby training with Glasgow Warriors in the car, just about to listen to Bill or Rock Sport and at Rock Sport DAB. I love a wee hour to myself in the car with the radio on. They can't touch you for it, Andy. You knock yourself out, son. Where do you want to start? Celtic or Rangers?
Whatever you
All right,
want.
let's go to Parkhead. Celtic picking up 3 points last night against Rosenborg. It's 3 points, and you've got to be happy with the points. There's no getting away from it. Was it Celtic's best performance? Brendan Rodgers wouldn't say it was. I don't think any of the players would say it was, but it doesn't matter. That goal from Lee Griffiths is what counts, and it gives them the 3 points. I think Celtic are still... The best performance they've turned in all season has been against Rangers. And I think they're still trying to find that wee bit of sparkle. I don't think it's back at all. And still, I think, looking for the best combination in that centre-back position. It was clear last night, Shug, that Rosenborg had looked at videos and had decided that's where the weak area was. When they had the ball in the Celtic half, they were playing for free kicks outside the box and, of course, trying to get corners so that they could rattle the central defenders a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Griffiths, being the player he is, would have been the only player, I think, Bill, capable of getting the goal. I think they struggled up front. You're right. I just don't think the combinations all over the park just don't seem to be right. Tierney's playing 1 minute, he's getting pulled in, he's getting pulled wide. Lustig, for me, isn't the answer at right back. Edouard up front looks a wee bit isolated on his own as well. And
I don't think he's the kind of player that they're expecting him to play the role that they've given him.
No.
I think he's better when he's got somebody else playing off him or just beside him, or him playing in that wee cheating role, as you call it.
Yeah, I just think that Griffiths being, the player he is, I think when he scored, you were saying that I'm number one. He was making that certainly well vocal to the fans, and the fans have got a lot of time for Lee Griffiths. He does fantastically well, whether he starts, whether he comes on. I know he's got a bit of drama with this, drama with that.
Listen, talent comes with baggage. Yeah, good managers manage that baggage. Bad managers don't.
Well, that's right. Yesterday I believe he was at court in Edinburgh doing the speeding thing, and I think he's been caught again. And there was a journalist spitting the dummy about a Carna guy, and Lee Griffiths has come out. He's put his head down. He's pushed the guy out the road. Mountain out. What I mean? Just nothing in it, to be fair. Football is where he does his talking. I think if Lee Griffiths plays in the Celtic team, I think Celtic have always got a better chance of winning games, be it against any opposition. But Murdo nails it on a Monday when he says that he feels Celtic have lost the spark. I do believe that spark has yet really to ignite for Celtic. I think you're right with the Old Firm game. I think a lot to do with that was Rangers not really but playing on the day either. Rangers picked their worst performance, Celtic picked their best. That's how I think the gap looks so big, Bill, on the day.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you've said there. I think that's absolutely
that game
right.
In particular, Rangers will be wanting to lay that to rest come December time, and I think they'll be more than capable in waiting in Celtic coming to their patch. So,
you know, one of the things you would say though, Hugh, is it really doesn't matter for Brendan Rodgers. If he picks up points, he picks up points whatever way he picks them up, and that's the same for any manager. It's not just for Brendan Rodgers.
Crowd last night, Bill?
I think it was pretty much a full house, or near enough a full house anyway. I mean, it looked a full house to me, and they were very vocal Celtic fans.
Yeah.
And so for that situation, you know, you would have expected them to lift them on a European night. It just didn't seem to be there.
It seems to be, you know, Celtic didn't make any big signings in the summer. Obviously, they paid up for Edouard. The John McGinn thing, you know, they just dug their heels in. They didn't go from his went to Villa. I think they missed the boat there. Griffiths is still not a recognised number one up front, and I think he should be. And all over the park, I just seem to think McGregor's not been as sparky. The middle of the park, just, you know, Brown's doing his stuff, there's no doubt.
Do you think because Brown's playing a wee bit deeper now, that McGregor's having to drop a wee bit deeper, so it's giving him that extra bit of work to do?
I just think they're bitty all over the park.
I felt James Forrest as well was getting sucked in, and I like Forrest when he goes down the channels and whips those balls over, or cuts back and whips them over. He was getting pulled into that inside right position a lot.
And then obviously Lustig's not that comfortable going on the outside of him, because he's not really an overlap fullback. I always think Celtic should have a, you know, Tierney's in the left. I think they should have an equal in the right. I think if you're playing with Celtic, you're going to have the ball. You've really got to go and play and have that wee tandem with, you imagine Tavernier playing in the Celtic.
Tierney played a ball over last night, Hugh. Honest to God, it was an absolute peach, and there was nobody there to connect with it, and it was an absolute stonker.
Absolutely,
it's one of those ones that you pray
somebody's
that your wing back's going to put them in for you, and it's going to come to you, and there was just nobody there for it.
You know, diversing slightly, but you look at Murdo said, right, who would get in the Rangers team, get in the Celtic team, you know, you imagine Tavernier playing right back right now with Celtic, you could imagine Golson playing centre back for Celtic right now, so suddenly the gap's narrowing and what have you, and I'm looking at both teams, but Celtic are, I explain it as they're bitty, they're no free flowing, they're not the way they were. They couldn't really keep that up, the momentum they were going at, because teams are they're trying to strengthen, they're getting better, they're bringing in better players. Sometimes you bring in better players, they're no big, big name marquee signings, but it makes a difference to the team. You just need to watch what's doing and what's going on at Ibrox right now to see that. But Celtic never freshened things, Bill, in the summer. So, you know, there's a staleness there.
There was a signing which was £9 million allegedly. I think it's closer to 7.5, to be honest with you.
Even that's a lot of money.
Yeah, for Edouard.
For here.
But bear in mind, Edouard was there on loan, so he wasn't really like a new player coming into the club.
That's right.
And it always gives a club a lift.
Yeah.
And it puts people on their guard.
Yeah, without a doubt. 7 million. Say it is 7, Bill. Now,
and I don't think he's as good a striker as Lee Griffiths.
No, I think you're right. I don't think he'll score as many goals as Lee Griffiths.
No, I agree.
You know, and he's signed an extension in his contract, Lee Griffiths. I think Brendan Rodgers knows that he's got a handful. Lee Griffiths is a handful, there's no doubt about that. I think he's obviously matured a little bit better than, you know, what he was initially 3, 4, 5 years back. But
I heard stories that there had been a little bit of friction between Rodgers and Griffiths, and I won't repeat them because they were stories.
Well, I think the manager
came from a really good source.
I think the manager can handle Lee Griffiths. I don't think that's an issue. Listen.
Yeah, but did he handle him rightly? If these stories are true, did he handle him rightly by leaving him out the team to punish him? Or was it a question of cutting off your nose to spite your face?
Listen, he's handled Stevie Gerrard and he's handled Luis Suarez. You know, they don't come any bigger than that.
That's true.
You know, so when you're dealing with Lee Griffiths, I think he can deal with that very, very comfortable, and that's what he needs to do. It then puts a wee bit more onus on Edouard, but at that kind of money, you're expecting your big guy up front to be really doing the business for you. Now, you can then imagine, right, £7 million in the kitty for Brendan Rodgers. That would have brought him 2 or 3 tasty players in to freshen up and play with Griffiths.
Yeah.
So why was the big concern? Plus, they knew they were going to sell Dumbelli and get another fortune. They could have brought somebody else in on top of Griffiths and still be up there. There's no doubt about that. So for £7 million to say, right, that's your pot, that's their lot, then I think they might just be a wee bit short in
Listen,
numbers.
don't forget as well that record profits for Celtic this season.
Incredible.
They've just announced that.
What are they doing, mate, Bill?
Well, yeah, you're right.
Apart from disco lights, apart from them,
all that's happened as far as the reporters and the Celtic fans are concerned is they're saying, if we're making the money, why aren't we spending it to strengthen the squad?
Yeah.
And you've got to say that you're right. I think Rangers played at their worst. Celtic played at their best this season when the two met. But if you've got aspirations of doing well in the Champions League, and Brendan Rodgers, very vocal and honest and upfront, yes, they're saying, we're not there because we don't deserve to be there.
He did say that. He says he just thought it was a step
but
too
that
much.
would have stuck in his craw.
Yeah.
Especially if he thinks that they could have been there by the right investment.
But financially, Celtic would have won fortunes out of that, getting into that Champions League, right? But let's be realistic here. What were they going to be doing in it? What would they have done in it? Nothing. They struggled to beat Rosenborg last night. They've played Rosenborg that many times, they could probably...
Well, what was it, 3-1 or 3-0 last time they played, which was in July. I think it was 3-1.
So it just so happens that they play them every year. So that's a kind of standing order, isn't it, that game?
Yeah.
But really, I don't think Celtic... I remember Brendan Rodgers saying that. I think it was a step too much this season. Now, he knows that his squad needs strengthening. He can't do nothing in January now. Bring one or two loan players and what have you. But there's a staleness there. There's some great players. There's still some great talent in the squad. And it's still the squad to beat. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes a lot of good players all going off the boil at the one time and no really any freshness coming in to give them a rest or freshen it up. I think that's where he's limited by numbers, because you look at the bench right now and there's nothing really that strong on there that you would say, well, I'll tell you what, he better get his finger out or he'll come in and this, that, and so they're a bit higgledy-piggledy at the back regarding the centre-backs. The left-back's fine, the right-back isn't. In the middle of the park, Brown's deeper. That means McGregor's coming back. The wingers are no happening. Sinclair's no doing what he's doing. Forrest is no getting beyond his left-back. And if Griffiths is no scoring goals, Eduardo struggle with Angus.
Last night, Boyata was fortunate on a couple of times. He really was, in terms of getting caught.
It's a big dodgy... He looks great, and then he looks effy. He looks effy type, doesn't he? I think that...
For me, the big problem with him is that he comes forward and I don't think he's got any pace, so if he gets caught he can't get back.
Yeah.
And how many times have you seen him clip the heels of somebody trying to catch
get
him
back.
up?
Yeah.
So if you're going to come forward, I think you've got to come forward knowing that you've got the pace to get back if you get caught, Hugh.
I think when you actually look at it, when you look at Celtic being the typical keep it in the deck, let's pass it, fade the back, through the middle, get it wide. When you look at the full back and the two centre backs, that's where everything starts. And if they guys are not comfortable on the ball, it's going to look a bit disjointed, Bill, and I think that's exactly what's happening. So when the goalie's thrown it out to the two centre backs and the right back, for me, Lustig, I think they could do better there. Left back will always bomb on and make things happen, but I think the other three are definitely weak links at the back for Celtic.
No, you're absolutely right.
It.
Let's move on and speak about Rangers. And before we do that, if you're a Rangers fan and you're listening and you don't already know, and I'll be surprised if you don't, Rangers tops now on sale via the Rangers website, I'm told. However, when one of our guys went to see all about it and tried to get on it, he couldn't. So I'm surmising. I do not know, but it's probably...
I thought David McKinnon would be stopped wearing Rangers tops by now.
Well, he couldn't get to wear one enough when he played for them, so he wants one now.
I think I always said number 12 on it.
So they are available, folks. What a nice little windfall financially for Steven Gerrard and the club there.
Yeah.
Because those tops are going to go like wildfire. People have been chomping at the bit to get them.
Wow.
If you're a Rangers fan, they are available, and they're available from the Rangers website. Mm-hmm. I'm told now. They may
Superstore,
I'm assuming they are, but I was
Sunday
just told before I came on that they were available on the websites, but the Superstore will have them, I would have thought.
Yeah.
So that's just something if you're a Rangers fan and you wanted to know that. Somebody's just sent me that information as well. I'll just retweet it for people so that they know what's going on.
Yeah, Superstore will be busy Sunday. I think obviously a lot of people know I'm in the fan zone, so I'll be taking a few copies in to sell a few of them. We caravan at the side with the dodgy ones. I don't mean that, I'm kidding on.
Let's talk about Rangers last night. I went on, I congratulated both teams. See, you can never win in this game. I go on to congratulate.
Glasgow, Bill.
I actually said Rangers started against Villarreal, and I said good luck to Celtic against Rosenborg. Then when Rangers got the draw, I said fantastic result for Rangers coming back from being twice behind to get a point at Villarreal. Anybody would be pleased with that. And then I put good luck to Celtic and Brendan Rodgers against Rosenborg tonight at Celtic Park. And next thing I'm getting, that must have stuck in your throat. Look, I want it for Scottish football.
Yeah, of course.
But we are talking about Rangers now, and it was for me another one of those absolutely phenomenal displays of character. To go there, and I know they're not having a great season, but it's quite a tight ground. I think the capacity is only about just under 25,000.
Yeah.
They're on top of you.
Yeah.
It's the Europa, and this is what I try to point out to people, why this is such a good result. And I know Steven Gerrard has played in European football 160 odd times, but here's the thing, not as a manager. This is his first foray into European football. And it's the same for most of those players, all of them possibly, if I think about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that Rangers have showed the character on the number of occasions they have in Europe, and they've put in the displays, they've played 9 games and they're unbeaten in Europe.
I think
that's a good record for a team that's never ever faced this kind of football or pressure before. And let's be honest, Rangers are under pressure because he's made a lot of changes, he's brought a lot of players in, Hugh, and the expectation levels are high, and they've delivered in Europe. There's no getting away from that.
I think his most experienced player is the guy that scored the second goal last night. I think internationally and you know what he's did at that level, you know, he can, you know, easily handle that situation. But you're right, there isn't a lot of them have played in Europe, similar to what happened at Parkhead when a lot of them hadn't played. And for-in games, I think you can sometimes get caught rabbit in the headlights, and after 45 seconds, then certainly Rangers did get caught rabbit in the headlights. It was a kind of nothing ball into the two centre-backs. We spoke about it before we come on. It was very unfortunate on Worrell where it hit, and it fell right to Baka, and it was a magnificent finish on his right foot. One of the lads in the record this morning who was doing analysing of the players says that McGregor was off his line a little bit, a bit harsh for me, that one. It was a great finish, but collectively Rangers, I think, knew what they were doing for the start. I did say to you as well, and I let the listeners know, I thought Villarreal didn't show Rangers a lot of respect. I really genuinely think that, and they stood off Rangers, Bill, and let Rangers have the ball. Now, I was in the booze, I watched the great atmosphere up in Clarkson, I've got to say, and a brilliant night we had, and I watched the game. There was over about 100 punters in this wee barn. It was brilliant atmosphere, and I always kept saying Rangers will get some here, Rangers will get some, because Villarreal, with the 1 or 2 chances they got, especially a couple of ones that came out with the goalie, they had chances to score. I thought Rangers had the ball and always looked as though they could do something with it. Every time Rangers broke, they looked as though they could open them up. So I think, you know, with a chance, you know, they then had at the end, Bill, with Arfield, as we've said, should maybe have slewed it with his left rather than let it coming across in his right. I think Rangers have came a long way. I got a text last night, 4 years ago to the day-ish, that Rangers, David Temple scored an equaliser for Rangers against Alloa to make the score 1-1.
Yeah.
Now, 48 months ago, they're now in Villarreal, coming home with a point in the Europa League. That's a massive step for Rangers in 48 months, if you want to look at it that way.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I think when you look at it too, and I'll tell you what else impressed me, and really classy, Steven Gerrard got onto the park at the end, shook hands with every Villarreal player, and then went to his players and applauded the fans that had travelled. I just think he's done everything right as a manager, and he's learned from good managers. Brendan Rodgers being one of them as well.
Yeah, I've got to agree.
You know, he's learned from good managers. I think he's just looks the part. He really does, and he says he's very honest, like Brendan Rodgers was yesterday. He was very honest after the game as well. I thought there was some performances that I was a wee bit disappointed in. Yeah. In all honesty, I thought Barisic wasn't quite as good as I expected. I blamed him a wee bit for the second goal because I thought he didn't know where the player was and he wasn't close enough to him, so he gave him too much room to cut in and put it on his good foot. So that was one. I thought Candeas struggled a bit. I thought he kind of got caught in between the play a few times, Hugh, in my mind. I thought Tavernier was magnificent again and led by example. I thought they missed, Morelos. I thought Lafferty was phenomenal, run his legs off, and of course the goal. But I thought they missed Morelos, because I think Morelos, in European games particularly, gets under people's skins.
Yeah.
And I know I've said about his petulance and stuff like that, but he does get under people's skins. And I think he would have kept the back unit of Villarreal more occupied, whereas Lafferty chases better than Morelos. But there was some great performances. Golson, for me, again, absolutely stunning. I thought the boy Worrell did okay. I thought Arfield was busy. I thought Graham Dorrans, when he came on, really offered that wee bit of class and maturity, and just kind of managed to take the sting out of them a wee bit when he had the ball as well. A very, very good performance.
Yeah, I've got to agree with everything you said. I've got to, I'll add to it, and I'll add a player who we all thought might have been surplus, who was sent, to Azerbaijan by a manager who really had lost control of the club and the team and players and respect and training and everything. And what I'm hearing is Andy Halliday, who went away and never said a thing. I need to go and play games, I need to get it out my system, I need to get fit, and he came back and absolutely tortured last year as well at Parkhead, playing at left back, and Lambs to the slaughter. Wasn't Andy's fault? They played in goals if Murty had asked them to play. Born and bred just behind the Copeland Road. We all know what his family's all about, and when you're playing with a club that means that much to you, then you will go that extra half yard. So I think what's happened there is he's buckled down. He's had a good pre-season. He's got to sell notice with the manager. He's no went in the huff the fact that this big manager's came in and went, listen, well, I'm going to be at the door anyway. But he was well accepting it and get my agent to get me a move. Maybe his agent has been able to get my wee sniff, and he's went, no, you know something, I've got a contract here. I'm back here. There's a new manager and I might have a chance. I think it's been now, obviously, public news that the manager likes him, fancies him as a player, and is going to be part of the plans. Now, I've seen both sides of the coin. I've been on that when a manager comes in and doesn't like you. But I've also been at a club where a manager comes in and likes you, and suddenly you can turn it around. I remember late in my career at 27, 28, George Burley and I couldn't sit in the same room. He'd sent me where you're right, and I couldn't even talk to him, Bill, and vice versa. Stainrod came in, he made me club captain, and I was 2 years, I was flying, just purely because he knew how to manage me. And I think that's very similar to what Stevie Gerrard. Now, Stevie Gerrard's picked up things over the seasons. We're talking about being able to go in the parts, and do stuff with players and managers or fans and what have you. He's learned that. Now, he's learned how to treat players, and I think Halliday sitting in that midfield role, that holding role, is keeping McCrory out of the team. But I'll tell you something right now, technically, for that role, he's a better player than Ross McCrory. Ross McCrory might have that wee bit more dig, but Halliday will still go in and get hurt if he needs to. And I think the way that Stevie Gerrard likes to play, I think Halliday's in the pecking order right now ahead of McCrory, because he can pass the ball better than McCrory. McCrory can get it and give it, but Andy Halliday can still see that wee pass.
Oh, he can run
that
as
wee
well.
bit of craft.
He can run as well.
I think that's why he's found himself in the team. I think you're right, Candace, he looked all over the place.
He just seemed to be caught in between the play for me.
Constantly all night. Barisic got caught at the second goal. Coyce was doing BT, and he was right, and when he stopped and analysed it, it was at 6s and 7s.
He didn't know where the player was, and he wasn't close enough to it.
The guy cut in, he knew that Barisic wasn't getting close. Bottom left-hand corner of McGregor, a goal. Lafferty led the line. I think you're right, Morelos. We could maybe have had him in and they'd have held it up a wee bit more rather than ping-ponging back.
He gets under people's skins here.
Arfield for 60 minutes was all over the place as well. Then get his goal and kicked on for the last half hour. But, we didn't have a lot of weaknesses. Worrell looked great. I think he looked fantastic.
Wee tweet that's just come in, actually, because we were talking about this in the office. Middleton was on park 15 minutes and was man of the match, somebody says. Now, I was very impressed by that boy. I thought he was absolutely great. And the reason I think he's so good when he comes on with these occasions is he's young and he's fearless. But do you know that burst of pace that he's got? Absolutely phenomenal. And not afraid to hit it past a man and run.
There's a but. Every time you come on, you've got to learn from your mistakes from previous matches. Now, we've seen it last night again. He got released and he's trying to smash it into the near side of the goalie. Get it low and hard. I've watched him at Ibis a couple of times as well, and there was another one he came on. It was quite a big match. But he's the type of player that I think Ryan Kent will start. There's no doubt about it. right now I don't think Templeton's ready to start. They might play him on Sunday. St Johnstone are going well. It's not a pushover. You play against Foster, who will match him for pace. He's quick, Foster. Yeah. So that's a wee match. But Templeton will come on and look the part the last 20 minutes. Middleton, I should say Templeton. Middleton will come on.
I thought you knew something I hadn't heard about.
and push it on by the right back and look unbelievably quick because it's the last 20 minutes. You know that way?
Yeah.
It was the same, I think, against, is it Ossie when he came on? She maybe got a pen and looked the part late on as well. So his time will come, but the manager just nurture him along, bring him on.
Doing it exactly the right way.
Give him a wee sniff here, give him a wee cuddle, give him a good name in the press, and let the boy learn his craft, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But when you've got Kent starting and you know you can bring Middleton on, or vice versa, go with the start, bring Kent on, then they're putting pressure on one another. I think it's the right hand side where obviously we're a wee bit limited now because Jamie Murphy's out, that we're looking for somebody maybe on the right, you know, to put a wee bit of pressure on Candice. I think he's limited out there, Bill. I think he's limited because look what happens when we played Kent on the right hand side against Celtic. It was lost. So I think we're looking for somebody on the right to play in front of Tavernier. Candice will do a shift, but that's really all you're getting. You're not getting real quality for Candice. Technically, as a player, you'd get in a shift, Bill. There's no doubt about it. Nobody works harder.
Let me give you a couple of other bits and pieces coming in on the Twitter at the minute, Hugh. Sammy has been in touch with us. He says Scottish press saying Villarreal second string. Bill Moreno 18 million, Ikambi 16 million, Sanson 12 million, Mori 8 million, and Bacca 7 million. Some second string.
Well, they did make 9 changes. The manager's under a wee bit of pressure. They're 14th in La Liga, won their first game I believe at the weekend.
Hugh, hang on, just before, this is what the press are saying about, the Scottish press are saying about Villarreal. Here's what the Spanish press said about Rangers. Minor team led by a legend. Bet they're not writing that this morning.
No, they didn't, because for me it goes back to respect, and I think they've looked at where Rangers have been the last few seasons. They've seen they've not been anywhere near Europe, apart from their holidays at the end of the season, and now they've got a wee head of steam and they're back in Europe. And you know, for a big game like that last night, it was a brilliant performance. Even when they lost a goal early doors, I just felt they were off Rangers. They were off. They were standing off Rangers, and Rangers, I thought, when they had the ball, made things happen.
It's really weird saying this, but this is the first time I've seen Rangers team that looks like every player wants to stay at Rangers and play to the best of their ability. It was like the Celtic team 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, the way. Listen, the way the manager was such a good player passing the ball for all the years. He's not coming in to play anything but passing the ball, pressing the ball, being fit, being organised, but playing for the jersey, because that's what he done for all the years. And he knows what it's like to play with a massive football club, with a wonderful support, and that's what he's inherited across the road. And he's rising every day, by learning at training, you know, and he gets a lot of backup, I believe, for the coaching staff. But what I like about it in match days as well, there's nobody running in and out the dugout every 2 minutes. He's there analysing everything, and then there'll be words said. He goes into the dugout on his own free record to see what he's got to say. I like the way he does that. Comes back out, and the message gets across. You very seldom see him flustered. I've seen him a couple of times. I've not seen, any petulance. I've not seen any falling out with fourth officials.
I'll tell you what I saw last night, and you'd have seen it watching the game as well, which I thought was good, because he obviously realised that there's been occasions that they've lost concentration when they've been in certain positions, and last night you could see him, concentrate, think, concentrate, and you could see him gesturing to people about that.
But he done a great thing last week with Morelos at Ibrox, and I don't think we spoke about Monday. I was off with my mouth and not my mouth, getting me into bother again, but my abscess, which is still sore, I've got to say. 2 Bob Dentist I got to, but that's another story. He pulled Morelos over. I don't know if you spoke about it Monday. You probably didn't know if Fergie spoke about it, that Morelos was on a yellow, and just learning as a young manager, the game was stopped, and he called Morelos over, and everybody in the main stand knew exactly what he was doing. And that went a long way with a lot of punters in that stand. Within 10 minutes he had made the change and went, listen, I'm going to be bringing you off in 10 minutes, don't be getting sent off. And all he did was, you say, pointed to the head, had a wee word in his ear, and I went, something, you've gained a lot of respect with these people sitting behind you. Just what you've done there.
No, you're absolutely right. Listen, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about the Europa League, Celtic and Rangers with Paul Hegarty as well, and we'll look ahead to the weekend fixtures.
Love music, live sport. Talking football with Bill Young, Hugh Burns and Paul Hegarty on Rock Sport Radio.
Okay, you've got Larry and Curly. You've had them since 6 o'clock. Let's bring in Mo, the final one of the three Stooges. How you doing, Higgs?
Good evening, Bill. Good evening, you.
Good evening, Mr. Hegarty. How are you this evening?
I'm fine. It's the first time I've been called Mo, but I'll settle for that.
Well, it was either Larry or Curly, and I've got Curly sat the other side of the desk. Listen, let me just pass on a wee message for you, because I texted Houston to congratulate him on his appointment as assistant manager with Jonathan Johansson at Morton, and he sent back his best wishes, and he said, say hello to Higgs for me. So
he's a great lad, Peter. He's a smashing guy, and he was great with me with Dundee United, and obviously him being the manager, Bill, who had great times, and even before that, we were both at Hearts under Jim Jeffries and Billy Brown, and brilliant. And I'm delighted for Peter. I'm not sure if he was really wanting to get back into the game. I know he done bits and bobs for under 21s and that, but I'm sure he'll be a great signing for Morton, and obviously help the new manager at Morton. Yeah.
Just before we go on, somebody called Scotty Boy, right, has sent a thing saying Old Firm Radio thumbs up, or Ref Rants every day, same stuff, boring. Scotty, here's the thing, he's a jambo because he's got a Hearts logo beside him. Get your team into the Europa League and we'd have been talking about them, or the Champions League, we'd have been talking about them. We'll get to Hearts when we preview the weekend stuff. And by the way, can I just say, on Monday we spoke at length about the Jambos because they've had such a magnificent start to the season, and we will reflect that again later on. But you cannot in our country disregard European football, especially when we've got two clubs in Europe at the minute, because it doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened very often for a long time. Yeah,
and Scotty, your trumpet, if you actually listen, I sing the praises of Hearts are regular on this show, and I've mentioned the fans of Hearts and what a great time I had when I was there, and every week, and talk about the numbers they had last week at Fir Park as well. So tune in if you want, Scotty, but I think we're entitled to talk, as Bill said, about the Old Firm first and foremost. We will go on to Hearts, as you say, later in the show, so tune in and change your name to Trumpet, please.
Higgs, we're talking about Celtic and Rangers in terms of Europa League results. Your thoughts on the Celtic game last night, if you saw it?
Well, they managed to get there eventually, and obviously by all accounts, it was a stuffy performance, but they'll be delighted with the 3 points. But I must admit, off the two games and off the two results, I think Rangers must be absolutely chuffed to bits and what Stevie Gerrard's done going over to Spain, because irrespective of what you do in Europe, whether it's home or away, and it's a great 3 points for Celtic, and obviously it helps them to try and get into the next stages in the league. But a magnificent result for Rangers. I personally didn't see that happening. I predicted, because a couple of guys had said, what do you think, Higgs? And I says, well, I think maybe Villarreal will win maybe 1-0 or 2-0. I didn't see that coming at all, even although, apart from the Celtic defeat when Rangers lost to them, I just think it's a magnificent result, and it just shows you the organisation that Stevie Gerrard and Gary McAllister have put in over the last 3-4 months, because to get results away from home in Europe are very, very hard to come by. Albeit, I know that they had a lot of chances last night in Villarreal, and so did Rangers, but I think it's a magnificent point for Rangers, and it stands them in good stead for the next game, and it'll give them added confidence, not just in the league programme, but obviously for, hopefully, a lot of the Celtic further stages in the Europa Cup.
Yeah, what I liked about the Higgs, they had a lot of the ball as well. When you look at the stats here, you would probably favour Villarreal having the ball at home a wee bit more. But I just think, and I liked the comments I know the manager at the end when he said about Big Lafferty's goal that McCoy would be, proud of that goal, and they were mentioned him. I think they were in the press room and saying the guy at the back of the press room would be chuffed to bits with. So he's bringing he knows what's going on. It's not as if he doesn't know the history of the club and his goal scorers and what he's looking for and all that. Just everything last night. There was one or two players who could have played a bit better. There's no doubt about it. But 2-2 at Villarreal, regardless where they are in La Liga, regardless, that there is only 2-3 massive clubs that generally win things in Spain. This team have reached the semi-finals of that competition, I think twice out of the last 3 years. With the amount of millions and millions and millions are spent, compared to what the manager has done at Ibrox, I think they must have been. Last night's result must have been, I think, his most pleasing result yet. To get a point on away soil, as Higgs knows, is very difficult. Doesn't matter where you are.
It's like Spanish football at the best of times is very, very strong, and I know that you've said like the clubs like Barcelona or Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, but they are such a strong La Liga, and I'm like you, Hugh. I think it's a magnificent result for Rangers and for Stevie Gerrard. Also, with the Celtic, even though they're not playing particularly well, whether it's domestically or in Europe, they seem to be grinding out results, and that's a sign of a good club or a good team. Like the Rangers, they didn't play particularly well, and as you say, one or two players could have played a bit better, but they're all sticking together, and that's what you need at this moment in time when you're maybe 1 or 2 down. In the case of Rangers, they just battled their corner and hung in there, and obviously got their just rewards.
And Higgs, of course, we've watched the Scottish teams nick a point. I don't even say Rangers nicked a point last night. I think Rangers, they earned it and deserved it, because I thought they gave as good as they got. OK, Villarreal had 2 or 3 chances, a couple of really, really good chances late on and all the way back with the header, and a couple of times McGregor's come out and they've tried to dink it over him and didn't score. But they didn't, they didn't get in behind Rangers constantly in the game. I thought Rangers marshalled the back four. Golston marshalled the back four with the new signing of Worrell. I thought Barisic was a wee bit no man's land. Tavernier, I thought, his best game for a long time. Just right through the park, they didn't have a lot of passengers, and I think they had more winners in the team. Halliday in there holding his own as well. I think they must have been chuffed to bits in that dressing room last night, and walked away from it with their head held high, and it's another bit of recovery. I was saying to Bill, I don't know if you got me, I got a text just after the final whistle, and the Rangers fans are, I know they got a lot of stick about this, that and the other and what have you, but a lot of them are loyal to the core, and a lot of them stuck by Rangers through third divisions and watching them against Annan, Ace 5, Alloa. I'm not saying that, but David Templeton equalised for Rangers 4 years ago to the day when Rangers drew 1 each with Alloa. And it shows you how far they've came, Paul. That, for me, said it all last night, how far they've came in a short space of time, really, to be honest with you. But magnificent point. Came a long way.
They've come the hard route, really.
Yeah, they have. Yes, they have.
Relegated to the bottom division, and to do what they've done. I know it's difficult to play against all these clubs because you're going to win, you're expected to win, but they've had to go through turmoil, and this could be the start of something good here.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Let me just give you a couple of wee tweets that have come in, boys. One from Scotty C. Rangers have gone to Spain to play a far superior side with resources to match the English Premier League. Easy for me to say. Scottish press look for the negatives. No wonder we're still a footballing backwater with no pride in our game. I'll get your comments on that in just a minute. But here's one for you, Mr. Hegarty. This has come in. Bill, can you ask Paul where we should send his Rangers hat, scarf and badge? Chest size, please, for the new orange stroke tangerine top. We all knew he would eventually come out of the closet.
Well, that's one thing. I'm not an Old Firm supporter. But when clubs get into Europe, whether it's you know, the Old Firm or Hearts or Hibs or Aberdeen or ourselves in the past, you've got to support these clubs. And people will say, oh, by the way, I'm not supporting them. But, you know, it's important because it's important for Scotland as a country to do well in Europe, because it reflects on everybody within Scotland. And, you know, how I feel, whether it's Celtic or Rangers or my old club Dundee United, you know, when they're in Europe, you want them to do well. You know, I was never a non-supporter of clubs not doing well in Europe. Domestically, different kettle of fish. When you play the Old Firm and obviously other clubs, when I was with United, yes, you want to win. Yes, you want to win all the games. And yes, you want to beat them. And we did that on numerous occasions, I may add.
Yeah, I've got to say, listen, I sit here with Murdo on a Monday night, and it's the same right through Scottish football. They're either one or the other, Bill. There's no doubt about that, these ex-players. They've always they sit behind. That's right, the tweet's spot on. He's been sitting on the fence too long. It's came out. He's been at a lodge meeting last night. Well,
I'm an Edinburgh boy, and it was either Hearts or Hibs.
He's been at a wee lodge meeting. He's been at a wee lodge meeting up in Broughty Ferry, sir. The wee lodge meeting, the wee Grandmaster Hegarty there, the wee apron and that on. Walk through the street, watch the Rangers, and his own bumming a bit of Rangers. Well, Higgs, I'll tell you what, son, I'm delighted for you. Absolutely on the moon. So, well done, Hegarty.
Well, I've got to disappoint you, because like Hegarty is certainly not
I know Hegarty.
Brilliant.
Listen, guys, let's move away from the Europa League now and actually talk about our old mate Peter Houston and that appointment at Morton, because you know, Jonathan Johansson, he's been on the coaching staff at Rangers with Graham Murty. That didn't hold him back, and he got the job at Morton, so that's good. But he's shown obviously a lot of maturity and brought in someone who can do a real job in kind of helping him come through this first real appointment in terms of in Scottish football.
Higgs, how would that came about, that combination? Where would they cross paths, Jonathan and Peter? Maybe there's coaching courses, might have, you know?
No, I don't really know, Hugh, but what I would say is, you know, it's like Scotland's a small place.
That's true.
People talk about certain people, about coaches and managers, and you know, who's good and who's bad and who would help you. Yeah. And Peter fits that bill brilliantly. You know, he'll be a great foil for the new manager, and he'll give him all the time, give him all his expertise to help Jonathan Johansson to do well in Morton. But as I say, I can't speak highly enough for Houston, because he's a smashing person, plus he's a great manager, and obviously being assistant manager to the new manager Jonathan, he'll help enormously. I just think it'll probably be word of mouth, and people would maybe say, well, that's who I would have, and usual, Hugh, you know, you get a few phone calls and you put a few feelers out, and that's probably what's happened, and it's probably whetted Peter's appetite and say, well, I'm going to help this young manager to succeed or try to succeed, and that's what he'll do.
I think the combination looks good. I think you say a wee bit of experience, a wee bit of inexperience.
I'm just glad to see somebody sensible enough to recognise that Houston should never be out the Scottish game.
100% right. It'll be the rock. The burdens will perish on, and hence where they are right now and what they've went through. Another manager certainly appointed, Raymond McKinnon. We wish him all the very best, but it's been a bit of a mess there after losing a guy who, you know, had said to us not long ago, you know, it was only probably the job he would have left Lennoxtown to go and take the Falkirk gig, and got it right and got them wherever he got them, then had a couple of bad results at the start of the season and they sack him. Nonsense. So I wish him all the very best. It probably, you know, it doesn't need to go in, but the fact that the love of the game has lured them back in, and I think the incentive, you know, he's a centrally based boy. I know I'll take him down to Greenock, you know, and he'll travel down there and enjoy it. With no way, I'm not saying there's pressure on every job you get, but there's no massive amount of pressure. It's a playoff job for Morton. If they get into the playoffs and Jonathan's first game, first season, then great. But I think the appointment looks fresh for the two of them to be together,
which is good.
Well,
I think it's good because it kind of puts down a marker for Morton, you know, starting to look seriously as challengers.
And of course, if you're a young manager, you want somebody there that you can trust. You want somebody there, and Peter will be more connected to the Scottish game than Jonathan will be.
And a lot of players will want to go there because of Peter's coaching reputation.
Absolutely. And then, of course, Jonathan will be able to tap into, the market where he's brought players in. He was behind the Morales one as well. So that wasn't a bad call, don't get me wrong. He went to Finland and got him. So there'll be agents that Jonathan will know that he can go to, and Peter will be working here with his contacts, and suddenly they can just maybe galvanise a little club down there with a good combination. So I wish him all the best.
Hugh, Peter's thoroughly professional, and he has got a lot of pride in what he does, whether it's on or off the park, and it's going to just enhance Morton no end, and it'll give them loads of confidence, because I saw them last week against Dundee United, my old club, and they were unlucky to only come away with a point. But it's a great acquisition for Morton, and I agree with what Bill was saying as well. It shows you the intent that Morton have in this league, want to try and themselves getting into the Premiership.
What always impressed me with Peter Houston is when they always used to get cross paths when they played. He's a wee bit older than me, don't get me wrong, but I remember McGivern talking so highly of Peter when he played at Falkirk. Technically, maybe
he's an absolute hero at Falkirk.
I love him, but the fact that I remember when you and I went live all those years ago, and and he took the gig from Celtic to go to Falkirk, and Bill could have phoned him every night, and he'd have come on, and they were still going well. He always found time to come on. He always found time to talk about what he was doing and how honest he was. And something, that's a hard act to get nowadays. Somebody's loyal. And I think, as I said earlier on, I think Falkirk must be regretting that move they made, getting rid of that boy.
I don't think there's many people in the Scottish game today that command the same respect right across the game, right across the leagues as Peter Houston does.
But even if you listen to him as well when he's analysing a game, here's a question to you guys right now. If you're listening to a so-called station that we're not competing that much with them, but if you want to listen to Peter analysing the game, or you want to listen to Pat Boner analysing the game, who are you going to listen to?
Who I've picked.
Right, exactly. That's where I'm coming for. You listen to somebody that knows that. I don't mean that in a bad way, but he's top drawer at analysing as well. Yeah. Knows a player, knows the game, great contacts, great experience. It's a great fit for me. It really is.
Are you Peter's agent, Hugh?
No, but it could be after the night.
Hey, I'll tell you something, Higgs, he'd be a long time in the wilderness if he was his agent.
Aye, certainly no Big Pat's agent now, anyway, that's for sure.
Brilliant.
But I'm over the moon, and as I say, there was another wee bit to the text that he sent me when I sent him a text this afternoon, Higgs, but I'll tell you that privately on another occasion. But he sends his best to you, and I said, ask me to pass it on, so I'm more than happy to do that.
We go back in time, Bill, because we had Hearts in the mid-90s, and we worked well together with the reserves and the youth team, and he made only bigger and better things as a coach and a manager, but we worked well together, and he's a smashing guy, and I'm chuffed to bits for Peter.
Give us a wee chance with Higgs just for a second, staying if you're not getting into games right now. There's a lot of things happening down here in the papers regarding Levine, Dundee United and the boys' suitor. Higgs, what's your take on that? Because the big boys' suitor's come out today and said that the gaffer was right in saying what he was saying regarding them getting moved about at centre back, right back, midfield at Dundee United. What's happening up there with that? Carry on.
Obviously, Dundee United not too happy with Craig's comments. So it must be Craig must be getting better again. You know what I mean?
On the road to recovery.
We dose in a Valium and he's right on a bit again. Brilliant.
I think Craig was. I'm not saying it was tongue in cheek, but he was just making a point that a young player playing several positions, and obviously it's detrimental to his career. And to be honest, Craig's probably right, because if you can see over the last year and a half with Hearts, John Stewart along with Christoph Berra have been outstanding for Hearts, so he's come in leaps and bounds. But I think a wee bit it was tongue in cheek, because I read in the paper the day that Craig Levine says, I love Dundee United, and I love when I had my time up there, and I'm not saying he's really having a real pop at him, but John Suter's office is just agreeing with his manager, but John Suter will not be caring about Dundee United. He'll be more delighted to be at Tynecastle and obviously playing regular, but it's Dundee United's loss and certainly Hearts' gain.
I wouldn't disagree with that, Higgs. I think you're absolutely right there.
Yeah.
And I think John Suter now's, well and truly on the trajectory to a decent international career as well over the next few years.
like everything else, when you play international football, you've really go up a few gears. But I'm sure with Craig's intervention and help with John Suter's career, it'll stand him in good stead. And to be fair, John's got all the attributes. He's really just got to make sure that he continues his progress onto bigger and better things. And if he does, good luck to him.
OK, boys, let's get right into it now, and we'll look ahead to the weekend fixtures. And we'll start with Aberdeen against Motherwell. Motherwell, of course, going down 1-0 to the Jambos as they continued with their 100% record. Aberdeen drawing against St Johnstone at McDermott. The worry for me for Aberdeen this season, and I said it right at the beginning of the season, I couldn't see where goals were coming from. They've had one game where they scudded in, I think it was about 4. Other than that, not prolific in scoring at all, Hugh.
No, I think you're right, and I think they're struggling. I've watched them 2 or 3 times, Bill and Paul, and they're not the team when they're fluent. I don't even think they're playing with the same passion. I know that happens when results don't go your way. You just lose that wee edge, and I think you're right up front. I think the Adam Rooney one still baffles me, how that boy was able to leave, how he wasn't getting a game. They've kept the boy Stevie May, who for me is not as good a finisher. I don't think he's come up and was anything like the player he was when he left St Johnstone to go down south. He's come back up.
Didn't set the heather alight down there, did he?
No, he didn't, no, and they paid decent money for him. So I think they're struggling up front. Again, they're trying to pen Shinnie and Mackay-Steven, according to the papers this morning. They're out of contract next year. It'll be interesting to see if they 2 boys and their agents get signed up. I don't know if that'll be the case. I know the new stadium could be up and running very soon. That might just, swing it and get them in. But even in the papers today, like going back into it a wee bit, and Derek McInnes is quoted saying you can keep an eye on the table. I won't bother. As I'm saying that, he says, but Dale vows to catch the Jambos. Well, at this moment in time, I can't see that happening, because they're a team with a head of steam as Hearts and Aberdeen right now are playing catch up. How many points are you behind? How many we got the tables there? Hearts are sitting.
They're 9 points 15. Behind.
That's a big gap, guys. 9 points is a hell of a gap with the leaders right away. And something, it's going to be, I think Aberdeen top 4, it'll be where their gigs want to be. There's no doubt about it. I really don't see a spark. I cannot see a spark coming for Aberdeen this year at all. Entertain Motherwell. Motherwell had a great start. A wee bit bitty, disappointed obviously at the home defeat last week against a rampant Hearts. There's no doubt about that. Fancied Hearts, to be honest. Motherwell couldn't do nothing about it. But Motherwell, I think, are always decent at Pittodrie. Could maybe get something out of the game, but it's a hard game. I think a hell of a lot of pressure on Aberdeen to get something out of the game tomorrow. A lot of people will be saying it in paper, Aberdeen to home win. I think Motherwell can go up and cause him some bother tomorrow.
Heggs, what's the stuff happening up there in the Grampian region, and what's Derek McInnes saying? What's everybody else saying about Aberdeen?
About 6:15 there, Bill, and he was talking about he'd mentioned that they had a lot of injuries, and he's had a lot of new players sort of bedding in, but he was more sort of concentrating on the players that have been injured. And he did say, and I'm not sure, you'd have to maybe look this up, but he says last 2 or 3 seasons they've been slow starters, so that's interesting to me. But as you guys were saying, they're 9 points behind the league leaders just now, which is Hearts, and it's a big gap so early in the season. But he did say that the last 2 or 3 seasons they've been fairly slow starters, and then once they got everybody back together again, then they were okay. I'm like you. I just feel that I have been sort of along, and it was actually a decent away point against St Johnstone last week, because St Johnstone actually do very well against Aberdeen, whether it's at home or at Pittodrie against Aberdeen. So it was a decent point, and what I will say is it was a great equaliser for McGinn to get the point at Perth last Saturday. But I'm like you, they haven't been firing in any cylinders. And the first game of the season was obviously against Rangers, and Rangers were down to 10 men for 75-80 minutes, with more or less getting sent off. So it's been a difficult time for Derek McInnes. I must admit, like Aberdeen and Hibs, who were in Europe alongside the old firm, they've sort of struggled because obviously they've had to start early, and I think that's to do with not having the same depth of pool as the old firm.
Yeah, I think
really
you're right. Yeah. Sorry, Paul. Sorry.
You think so? Sorry, Hugh. On you go.
No, I think you're right. I think strength and depth is massive to compete with Old Firm. There's no doubt about it. And you know something, it's quite strange because Derek McInnes will be looking at it. And I heard Willie Miller was talking about it. I said the early start of the season, the early weeks of the season was always kept talking about Rangers have got to come in here and prove that they're the second best team in Scotland. Aberdeen are the second best team. That for me is gone. That's gone now. That's totally gone. That's out the system as far as Rangers. Because I said at the start of the season, Rangers don't even want to be second. Rangers want to win the league. So that's gone completely. And Aberdeen for me. You know, when you look at the way Rangers were last season, the way Rangers are now, it's night and day. There's no doubt about it. So Aberdeen have came a wee bit unstuck. They've recruited strongly. They've no started strongly. They're no scoring goals. There's no spark. 1 or 2 injuries. The fact that Rangers have got better has put a wee bit more pressure on them. The fact that Hearts have got better, there's even more pressure on them.
Hibs, Kelly.
There you are. You've just nailed it.
I was just going to bring that point up actually, and you've done it ahead.
They've all got better.
So, yeah,
they've all got better.
And listen, look, you've got to assume that the Jambos, they're going to try and maintain the start they've got, and the fact they've got that start. You've got to assume that they're going to be there or thereabouts by the end of the season because they've got off to an absolute flyer. So you've got to think that Rangers and Celtic are going to be thereabouts. Then you've got Hibs, who have had another good start to the season and who are looking quite strong. Kelly. You know Steve Clark and what Steve Clark's going to do, and we'll talk about it a wee bit later on, but he's a wee bit disappointed. He seems to think that 3 referees have cost him 3 of the 5 games they've played, and has been quite vocal about that. But for Aberdeen even to be looking at top 4 at this stage, positioned where they are, they've got a lot of work to do, and I don't see the people who can convert chances into the back of the net there, and that's what the game's all about, scoring goals.
Well, you got McGinn one side.
Guys, Aberdeen have only scored 4 goals. 4 goals in 5 games, and they've lost 5. So Hugh's 100% correct in that one. The 4 columns is poor by their standards, and if you want to be thereabouts with the other clubs, then you've got to start that up. You know, the ball rolling, and obviously get results. So I'm with you guys. It's been disappointing. But what I would say is, you see like Motherwell. I think that's going to be Motherwell's season. They'll maybe take 2 steps forward and a step back, and obviously losing to Hearts last week would be really disappointing for Stephen Robinson. But it's like anything else. It's a very, very competitive league, and you'll see the same clubs vying for the top 4 or 5 positions, guys. And you might get you might get St Johnstone just sneaking through and causing a bit of a problem, but you're right. I just think Aberdeen at this moment in time are just not finding their feet, and the sooner they do that, the better, and get themselves away from. Well, they're in the 8th position still, guys. So that's very unlike Aberdeen.
And of course, you just mentioned in our team, Bill and I we forgot how good a start St Johnstone have had, but I think Bill as well. Big McKenna been out at the back. I'm no lover of Considine anyway. I think the goalie's decent. Shea Logan is that only shores up the back end, Shug. That doesn't put balls in the back of the net. And I know he scored a couple big McKenna set pieces, but they have not got someone who looks as if they can deliver 20 or 30 goals this season. And also the fact that they've lost Ryan Christie. That creative midfield spark that they've had. If Mackay Stephen is in and out of games, McGinn came back, who had left, to come back again. I don't always think players, Paul, that come back for a second stint are ever great for equaliser, don't get me wrong, but they've just never had it right up front as well. For boy Stockwell, I think they've brought in the big centre forward, big burly strike. But I just think it's that they're struggling, and the fact that the teams that we've mentioned, Rangers, Hearts, St Johnstone, Hibs, all doing Kelly, all doing better, is highlighting how bad a start that Aberdeen have had.
Just going back to
they lost Rooney to England.
Strange one,
and
Paul. Strange
we always thought
I liked him.
He was decent. He was always going to score probably between 12 and 15 goals a season.
He had a good start. I think he said a decent start at Salford as well. People will say Salford, but wait a minute. That's a good level he's went in it down there. I think he'll score 15, 20 goals down there.
Listen, it's a club with ambition, and they've got the personalities there to back it up.
But it tells you everything, and we said it at the start of the season. It shows you where Aberdeen and collectively as a nation of football, when we're losing players, that a team that finished second in the Premiership last year to Salford City
for $4,000 a week.
There you go. That said it all. But for me, they've lost a big player, and they've not replaced him. And what was strange for me, Paul, there wasn't a certain starter every week for Derek
that's
McInnes.
what I was going to ask you, Heggs. What I was going to ask you is, did you ever hear any rumours about why Rooney was in and out like a fiddler's elbow?
No, I didn't. But what I would say, sometimes, a manager, sees players during the week and obviously has got to make a decision come the Saturday. And maybe it wasn't Derek's first choice, but, I think he laid the line well. Don't ask him to run beyond, because he wasn't like that. He was a target man. He was a man who would take the ball in and obviously feed McGinn when he was playing the first time round, which was fine. And you've got Gary McInnes feeding off Rooney. I just thought he was that type of player that, get him in the box, get the balls high in the box, and he always caused a bit of problem, a bit of havoc in the air, and he was an excellent finisher. But like everybody else, managers have a feel for players in regards to what they're going to do on Saturday, and maybe sometimes he didn't fit that bill.
Well, you just wonder as well when they're looking at keeping it, in Scotland, the young boy Shanklin, who had been at Aberdeen. Going to get in the team for McInnes, has went elsewhere and scored goals. Was it a player that they could maybe have looked at bringing back in? Is he better than what they've got? Is he a better finisher than Stevie May? Yeah, you would say right now. And at $300-400, Ayr would have been dealing at that kind of money.
Yeah, you're right.
Come the window closed there. So I think they might have missed the boat there. I don't see where he's got strength and depth. And well, we've no went and strengthened. Who are we going to? Oh, well, he'll score, he will know. I don't think they've got any creativity in the middle. I think if the white guys are not doing it, I think they struggle at left back. I think they always have done. And McKenna been out, I think they toileted back. I don't think Devlin's 100% fit either as well. So it's bitty everywhere for Aberdeen right now, and it's certainly looking good right now for Derek McInnes.
Guys, just going back to Motherwell, because Heggs, you alluded to it but didn't kind of say it outright, but if you go back 4 seasons when Motherwell came to the end of that purple patch where they really were punching above their weight for 2 or 3 seasons, since then the bane of the Motherwell supporters' life has been not knowing what they're going to get each week, the inconsistency of Motherwell. And you kind of alluded to it again, Heggs. It happened last year where they dropped away. They got off to a great start, dropped away mid-season, thought they were going to get sucked into that relegation area, and then kicked on a wee bit towards the end of the season. You kind of suggested that you felt that might be the shape of things again this season.
Well, it looks like it. Well, it certainly looks like it. But what I would say is that, in the league camp over the last couple of seasons has been very ropey. Their success has been in the cups, and when the cup competition comes around, they seem to come alive, and then that affects their league programme, because then they kick on from the confidence for winning maybe 2 or 3 games in the cup, and then that helps to get them up the league and get a few points in the bag. I must admit, the clubs like St Motherwell's, the St Mirrens, St Johnstone's to a lesser extent, it's very, very difficult to compete against the big boys at a consistent level. You might have a purple patch like what we had last year with Kilmarnock and Stevie Clark came in. That doesn't happen too often. I know that Tommy Wright has done really, really well apart from last season, and now he's happy with his squad. He seems to be more content and more confident with his squad. But see, like the Motherwells and the St Mirrens and obviously and Dundee's, it's very difficult to compete with the big boys, and what they're looking for is being content in the middle of the pack in the league, and if they get a great cup or cup runs, then that fills their coffers, the financial side of it. So it is tough. you're not going to compete with the Old Firm or the Edinburgh clubs. You might do it on the odd occasion, but in the long run, no way.
Well, I think Motherwell's got a player. Just quickly, again, looking at the papers, I liked the article that they did on the boy Cadden, who plays wide right for Motherwell. I think he can be a real thorn in Aberdeen's side
like
tomorrow.
The red-headed boy they brought up from Gateshead. I forget his name, but I've seen him 2 or 3 times this season, and I like him.
I like Cadden. His delivery for the right is absolutely phenomenal, and it's a great bit here. He's only 21, 22, Cadden, and he's played 123 games already for Motherwell, which is a brilliant story. And it's great because James McFadden had said, listen, stick in, you'll be getting your international debut soon. And it's just, this is a football player's quote, you know, we're not the brightest. He says, James McFadden told me I was being considered, which was delighted. Then the guy from Scotland phoned and said, which I think is brilliant, pack your bags, you're going to Peru, you know. I like Cadden, and he was I think Rangers were supposed to be having a wee look over the summer.
Yeah, I heard that.
And if you look at Cadden on a wide right, would you have Cadden in before Candace right now? That's one to think about.
Okay.
So I think Motherwell going up there, I know always can bring the Rangers thing back into it, but how good a player Cadden is, I think he could be very important to Motherwell.
Right, let me ask you then what you think the score's going to be, because you thought they could nick something at Pittodrie.
I think Aberdeen at home, I'll always fancy their chances. I think Motherwell, they'll be disappointed last week with the point, or losing the points, I should say, to Hearts. I think they'll nick it. I think they'll nick a point, one each.
Okay, Heggs?
What I would say, Bill, is Motherwell have got to get in the opposition's faces, because that's their strengths, and to do that all the time is very demanding physically. Mentally, not so much, but physically demanding it. So you can't do it all the time. But the often they do that against clubs, then they've got better chances to win games. I just personally think Aberdeen have got slightly better players tomorrow, and I've got to agree with Hugh. I know that he's went for a job, but being at Pittodrie, you would think that they would get the result, and I think they'll win 2-1, Bill.
Okay, Heggs, we'll start with you on this one, because you might have seen it in the local paper. Rab Douglas saying that it's a dog day tomorrow for Neil McCann. If Hibs take the points at Dens Park, he thinks Neil McCann could be packing his bags and moving on. What's your thoughts? And did you see that article by Rab?
I did read that article about Rab, and no further remark, but what I would say is it's a massive game for Dundee, and obviously for the manager. The good thing for like Neil McCann is he's been very positive all week, which he's got to be. There's no point in being doom and gloom, because then you're going to get people on your back. But he's been very positive by all accounts. The players have had a meeting, and obviously they're trying to rectify the problem. But it is a massive game for Neil and Dundee. You can just see the league at present. They've only scored 2 goals and lost 11. And I know he's chopped and changed the team on numerous occasions this season, but that's normal for a team that's going through a difficult patch, because the manager is trying to find a way to get a result, and if that means leaving out 2 or 3 players and bringing 2 or 3 players to get a response or get a reaction, that's what you're looking for, and that's what Neil's done, because he's like any manager, guys. He's trying his best to get the 3 points, or even just get a point on the board to give them a wee bit of a foothold and something to grasp onto. But it's going to be difficult, and obviously I just think the last couple of games at Dens Park, especially the United game, I kind of get that game out of my head, because I think the way that day they lost the game, and the way that the Dundee fans sort of gave the players and obviously the manager a bit of stick, because they were playing against Ayr United, and Neil McCann did say Ayr United deserved the victory. He didn't shy away from that. He was very honest and forthright. But I think it's a massive game tomorrow, and I feel for Dundee. I don't think it's going to end on a happy note. The Hibs have a great result against Kilmarnock last week, 5-goal draw. Easter Road managed to win 3-2 late on. I just feel Hibs are starting to get a bit of motion. They're starting to get a bit of feel for the game after their sort of early exit in Europe. and that's a good thing for Neil Lennon, because he's now in 5th position, along with Rangers just slightly above them on goal difference. And I just think tomorrow Hibs will be too strong, because I feel, Dundee can't score goals on a regular basis, and they're leaking goals at the other end.
Shug?
Well, I was at Ibrox last week, Paul, when I watched Dundee getting totally overrun. Started okay, and they passed the ball about a little bit in the middle of the park. When Rangers, really took a grip in the game, they really could have opened them up, Bill. There could have been 7, 8, 9 goals last week.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I think it could have been a cricket score.
Really struggling at the back. The big boy Darren D. I think his time has came and went. And when you're playing big Darren at the back, if you play with a 3, then you might get away, but you're playing with a flush 4, then you're struggling to get in behind them. They look as though they're, Neil's very frustrated inside of the park. I see it's not happening. There's no spark there. They don't have any quality, and that's the bottom line. They brought Kenny Miller in to play up front. We know what happened with Kenny. He'll be automatically out tomorrow on the back of his red. Was it rescinded at all? No. Did they have a look at it?
What was that? The Kenny Miller one? No, it was upheld.
Upheld, right? So just all round it doesn't look good. And I cannot see anything less than an emphatic Hibs going tomorrow and getting a result there, who are flying. Canberry up front, and players that have got pace.
And they've just brought the new boy in, the boy from Holland, who was a free agent but had played for Feyenoord,
right,
and somebody else. I can't remember who else. They're
a good side. They're tight at the back. There's good players, and the wee boy Marlon in the middle of the park. The goal he scored last week as well. The free kick, slewing it away into top corner, top draw. Players right throughout their team that have all got good pace, all play for one another. Manager driving them on, and they'll go for the juggler tomorrow. They'll not be feeling sorry for Neil McCann whatsoever. They'll turn up, be professional, win the game. That's what Hibs and Lennon brings to the party now. There's no doubt about it. Where do you go with Dundee? They're at home. Yeah, you're at home and you're expecting a wee bit, but the fans, the first 15-20 minutes, if they're not on top, 2 goals, as Higgs have said, they've scored. They don't look like Canadian. They've got no width. B. McGowan's still busy, Paul, in the middle of the park, but generally that's about it for me. I can't see anything less than an emphatic Hibs result. They go and win, and I don't think it's probably the last thing Neil needs for Big Rab is the doom and gloom of the press. But the press chase players on who have played there. He's said what he said. He'll be a Dundee fan deep down as well. Big Douglas, he knows his stuff there. He knows what the club's all about and what's expected there. But I think it's just a matter of time before the wee man loses his job and goes back into doing his work, as a pundit. And they can't say he didn't try. He's went back in. He can walk away and say, listen, I've not got it right, and tomorrow I think it could be the final one, because it's how long the directors then, how long did they give him? The gap gets wider. Another nail in the coffin. I don't know the fixtures beyond that, but they're out the Betfred. Before you know it, the Scottish Cup's looming December time. So I don't know where they go, Paul. It's a shame. Again, you just wonder, you talk about Neil coming in as an inexperienced manager. We spoke about Jonathan Johansson and bringing Peter Houston in. Has he brought in enough backroom staff to help him? Has he brought in experience enough to help him through this? We don't know. Who did he bring in, Paul, his assistant? Was it somebody?
I want to say Gatland. He played with St Johnstone, but no, he's a fairly young assistant manager.
Right, well,
so experience-wise, I would say no. But he has Bobby Guinness, the goalkeeping coach, who's a Dundee player, Rab Douglas, Big Rab, yeah. Uh-huh. So, no, he's got experienced goalkeeping coach, but I think Gatland, I think it's Graham Gatland, is a fairly young coach, but it's like he's a manager, trying to do everything in his power to get a result, and that's why he's had, changes week in, week out, because what it's like, when you're not getting a result, you take maybe a couple of players out one week and then try and get somebody else to respond and react and give the club a jolt. That's not happened, and when you only score 2 goals out of 5 games and losing virtually 2 goals a game, which is obviously he's lost 11 goals in 5 matches, is very, very. But I'm like yourself. I think, if he was playing against maybe a St Mirren or a Hamilton, then he's got a chance. But
he's got Hamilton the following week, Higgs. But by that time, but you say that against a St Mirren or a Hamilton. But, you know, those guys are down round the same area. You would have thought Dundee last season or the season before might have just pipped them. This season, I wouldn't be that confident, because you know what it's like. Winning becomes a habit, and so does losing.
Well, St Mirren have now got a new manager. Great point last week. Hamilton will always be in the dogfight with an experienced manager that knows how to get them out the mire. And Livy, who were expecting to be the Whitman boys, have had a brilliant start.
Yeah.
So out of all that, as bad as Aberdeen are kind of, been out of all the good teams just now that have started well, the same could be said about Dundee. They're worse to the rest, if you know what I mean, and that gap is just getting bigger. But they didn't create anything at Rangers. They didn't have a shot on target. They very seldom get in behind. They didn't play with any purpose or any pace. But you know, when you're down there, that happens. They look probably worse than what they are. But, you know, for me, you know, I think Hibs can go and score a few goals.
Well, the boy that they've signed's a right back, because Lenny's not been happy with the defence. He's a right back. Miguel Nelum. Nelum's played for Feyenoord and recently was working under Dick Advocaat as a player for Sparta Rotterdam.
All right, okay.
So the boy's...
Technically, if he's in Holland, he'll be able to play.
He's got a decent pedigree.
And that's the way Hibs like to play. They like to play it on the park, they like it on the deck, they get it wide and you know, create chances and get movement all over it. Good pace, but I think the signing of the boy Malin that they've got back up for Barnsley has been a major scoop on the back of Dylan McGeoch and Scott Allen not being there.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. So what's your prediction?
I'm going to go Hibs 4-1.
4-1?
Yeah.
Okay. Heggs?
Well, what I'll say, Hugh said a true point that, you know, Hibs have got pace and a bit of power, but, you know, they have got pace in the width, in the wide areas, and I think that's a telling factor, and I've got to agree with Hugh on that one. I'm going to go for a Hibs win 2-0. 2-0.
Okay, guys, we talk week in, week out about if you're down in that bottom half of the table, you've got to win your games against the teams round about you. Tomorrow, Hamilton take on St Mirren. St Mirren just above them, I think, a point ahead of them, but Oran Kearney's come in now, and Gus McPherson leaving Queen's Park to become technical director, which I assume is like a director of football. A good appointment when you've got a young manager coming over from Northern Ireland, getting into his first full-time gig, and in Scotland. So, you know, Gus is a guy that knows the club. He's got a good coaching record. What's your thoughts on this one, Hugh?
I like the idea that Gus been involved at Premier League level again. I think he's a manager who's been very, very unfortunate in his career. I think he had a great start, you know, and did very, very well and got the St Mirren job and very nearly won the cup at Hampden that day, and Rangers were down to, I think, about 4 men. They still couldn't win, but that was very unfortunate. But it kind of stuck with him, didn't it? They didn't win it that day, and I think that was. I'll always.
Will they call him out that weekend?
Was it 3? I don't know. It was 3 or 4. I don't know what it was. But anyway, they should have won the cup that day. Anyway, I thought Gus had certainly the makings of going on and being a top manager. I think he's went and enjoyed his work at Queen's Park. I think he's really enjoyed it. We spoke to him often. We keep in contact. And he had said that he was virtually full time at Queen's Park. You know, he had the running in the place. He brought some players through. Queen's Park was always a bit of we'll bring players through one season, then that'll dry up, then we'll come through again. And he did all his work at the juniors, and he got players who were maybe on a free and what have you. And that's just the nature of the beast. But for the new manager to come in and listen, you know, Tony Fitzpatrick's probably had a big say in that as well. I believe the chairman, who was there now, was on the board the last time Gus was the manager there.
Gordon Wilson,
right, was there. So, you know, I think there's a lot of belief in Gus coming back. A lot of pressure off the manager on, I think, then recruitment. You're bringing in a guy who's played at a really good level, well thought of, similar of Peter, you know, like when you're bringing somebody in. I've said before, somebody sitting up there making football decisions who's played the game, I think makes it a bit easier on the manager. The young manager down on the dugout and looking at the experienced coach in behind him, our technical director, call him what may, they'll be having plenty of football chat. Football chat is what you want, isn't it? You know, that's what you want. He'll do a job for you. I don't fancy him. Not that he'll go constantly with Gus's recommendations, but you know, you would like to think Gus will know a player, and if he's got that wee bit of budget that he can go out and look at players, that's perfect for Gus. Gus, you know, he's good with the media, good contacts. good background. I think it's a brilliant appointment that will help the manager. I like the idea they've kept Brian Rice, the boy McManus as well. I think obviously Stubbs and Dan Jackson moved on, so there hasn't been a big massive change direction regarding the backroom stuff, and I think that always helps. But well, what a great start they had last Friday, and I believe did very, very well. I listened to the 45 going home, and it was us St Mirren the first half, and then Cham getting sent off, and I think St Mirren stopped playing then. That happens. But St Mirren, I told you, I watched them, and they weren't that bad. I know I've had a bit of stick saying, I think they'll win more games, and next thing the manager get the Dan Mac 2 or 3 weeks later. But they showed me a wee bit at Ironbooks. They impressed me a wee bit at Ironbooks.
So you think they've got the players? They were just probably not Alan Stubbs not getting the response from them.
I wasn't a lover of the appointment to start.
No, you weren't. I have to be
right
honest,
at the beginning. I thought they could have went better than the appointment to Alan Stubbs, and let's hope the boy they brought over for Ireland is of what they're looking for. But starting tomorrow for on that particular game, then they've got to go there with their tails up. And the fact that they're going to Hamilton, and it's games like that keep them in the league, Bill, and keep them away from the bottom of the league.
And what about Hamilton Higgs?
They've had a difficult time. They've just got to see the team that they're probably going to up against would be Livingston, and Livingston have just tore up the papers in regards to that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You've got to realise as well, Hamilton are on the same points as Celtic. The same number of wins, same number of defeats, same number of draws as Celtic. 1-3, drawn 1, lost 1. And for that to happen within 5 games is magnificent. So Hamilton will be like that. What's happening? So they're in already, but how many times that Hamilton have managed to have a Harry Houdini act, guys. They've done it on numerous occasions over the last 3 or 4 seasons, so watch this space. But they must have been really disappointed with the result last week against Livingston. That was so early on, the old 6-pointer, isn't it? The old proverbial 6-pointer. So from that point of view, it must have been a nightmare for Martin Canning and obviously Livingston go back to Hamilton, because they were expecting at least something from Livingston. I'm sure Hamilton were expecting. I must admit, like say Bill, you had said that the ground is a real talking point, and you're spotting again. You've done exceptionally well on that one, Bill. You did say that you thought Livingston would do the business against the team last week, against Hamilton last week. So I've got to take my hat off. Hamilton, St Mirren. I must admit, I'm like you, Bill. I think it's a magnificent appointment for St Mirren getting Gus McPherson. I've only met Gus on a few occasions, obviously through the management side yet, and I've actually been very impressed with him. He's got a sort of dry sense of humour, but he's a football person, and possibly that's where maybe Morton have decided, well, St Mirren have got an experienced person i.e. Gus McPherson. Maybe we should be able to help the new manager at Morton, Jonathan Johansson, and bring Houston. So maybe that's triggered off 1 or 2 things at Morton to do with the Gus McPherson thing, and Peter Houston going to maybe Morton. But I think it's a magnificent appointment for St Mirren, because 1, he's a football person, and 2, he'll give good advice, and 3, most importantly, he'll give good, honest answers to the new manager.
Yeah, I think he's a massive help. What's your thoughts on the score, Higgs?
I'm going to go, surprisingly, for a win tomorrow. Hamilton 2-1.
You're going to go? Well, I'm going to go the opposite way, beloved.
You're going 2-1, St Mirren?
St Mirren 2-1,
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I can call it. I think the thing that might make the difference for St Mirren is the parquet at New Douglas Park.
Yeah, I think that will be certainly favouring the home team, there's no doubt about that. But Accies have had a horrendous start, apart from the 3 points that they got. They've done nothing down there. 3 out of a possible 15 isn't a pretty start. So I'm going to go St Mirren, and the back a big thing as well, seemingly doing quite well. Big Anton Ferdinand, who did very well, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
In his debut last week, played for the best part of 75 minutes. So the best of luck to him in his
I've spoken to the Coleraine chairman, and he rates Oran Kearney very, very, very highly.
Oh, really?
And I'm interested to see how this boy does here, because he really is well respected. The only thing that I'm a wee bit puzzled with, guys, is he was in the frame when Alan Alan Stubbs got the job. And I'm just wondering if, and I hate to say it because I know Tony well, and I don't think he would be, but you can never tell with these things whether they were blinded by the name.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I think that's exactly what's going on.
Because bringing Oran Kearney back, obviously he interviewed well and made a good account of himself, and I'm just wondering for once whether Tony and the board were a wee bit blinded by the name Alan Stubbs.
Yeah, that happens. Names get jobs, and there's no doubt about that, but sometimes it doesn't always turn out to be
the right
come to fruition, and that's exactly what's happened. The boys came back for a second stint. I think he had a good job. He's a teacher, intelligent boy, maybe too intelligent to be a football manager, I've got to say. But I think the fact that he could always go back, he's bringing his family over, and he signed a 2 or 3 year contract, Bill. So 3-year deal. Then that's it.
I haven't said that Alan Stubbs had a 3-year deal as well.
Well, that'd have been a payoff. That'd have been a double whammy for St Mirren, to do that. But they've had a look at it and decided that they make a call. Again, it's similar to Dundee. How long would they let it go? How long would they, made their club even
Listen,
worse?
if you're not picking up, because everybody wants to get the points in the bank, you both know that. So if you're not picking up points early games, you've got to make a decision fairly quickly.
Well, it's got to be done. Guys are, the football guys, they must have been, took in by the Alan Stubbs thing. But, I was never a lover of that. I just thought that...
Yeah, you were very vocal about it.
I just thought it wasn't the right fit. I just thought there was better. Didn't know the Coleraine boy had been... interviewed, and we spoke about it was Jimmy McIntyre and Dodsey. It was it was Hoppy, but the fit wasn't right. He obviously didn't know the Bradford thing was coming off, but I just think then great, give the boy a chance. It doesn't mean to say that you've played at the top level or managed at the top level that you're going to get it right at your next job. You look at a lot of managers and they've failed, and good luck to him. But he had a great start last week, great point, fantastic point. Dressing room must have been flying last Friday night, and then obviously the week to prepare for the game tomorrow. And you would take Hamilton away, surface or no. You would say, right, we've went and beat, competed well with Celtic. Yeah. Hamilton's not a great chance. We go and get 3 points at Douglas Park and get on with it. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Well, what I would say is that Alan Stubbs, they probably went through experience. Maybe the chairman and directors decided they're going to go through experience because this is the first crack at obviously playing the Premiership. But what I would say is, how many Northern Island managers are doing well in Scottish football?
Yeah, absolutely. But Paul,
see, fantastic, isn't it?
Paul, see, for an experience point of view, Jack Ross wasn't the most experienced when they gave him the gig. I know certainly it was a championship, but they brought him through for Alloa and that worked. So you'd have thought they might have went down the same route again, bringing in, we'll bring somebody in that can gain his experience here. We might be getting a free run at the Premier League. Maybe we'll compete with Dundee, Livingston, Motherwell, Hamilton, and say, listen, we've got a wee chance of staying in here. So, I think they've been big enough to put their hands up and say, right, back to drawing boards here. Get the guy in, give him the gig. He'd be delighted. The boy's absolutely on the moon. He's got the job. As you say, he's interviewed well. Must have interviewed well for them to go back immediately to get him. So,
you're absolutely right. Guys, this to me is an interesting one tomorrow for a number of reasons, not least of which Livy are lying third in the table, only behind Celtic in goal difference. And I have to say, I don't think anybody expected the start they've got. But of course, let's look at Hearts. The Jambos, a 100% record. They've looked the part. They've swept all before them aside, to be honest with you. And the kind of, if you like, morale through at Tynecastle at the moment must be through the roof. They'll be more than happy that they're not going to the Tony Macaroni because of the surface there. Mm-hmm. But you've got to fear a wee bit for Livy tomorrow going to Tynecastle because Hearts are absolutely rampant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Paul.
On you go, sorry guys.
No, on you go, Higgs. I was rooting you. On you go.
What I would say, Bill, Hearts are marching on relentlessly. They've been actually fantastic. They're strong, they're big, they're athletic, and obviously they're playing with loads of confidence, and rightly so. I just feel this moment in time, you look at Hearts, 11 goals for, 2 against, a miserly 2 against, and being an ex-defender. That's what you look for. Like a goal scorer, like a striker, you want to score goals every game. As a defender, you want to lose as least goals as possible, and to lose 2 goals in 5 games is a great average to look at. I just feel as well, guys, I must admit, Livingston have been exceptionally well, but this is probably one of their first real tests handling a big club away from home, and obviously going to Tynecastle, which will virtually be a sellout. It's a great day out for Livingston, but Gary Holt will be saying to his players again, just do what you've been doing, guys, because we are at success, we have been at success, and we've picked up 10 points out of 5 games. That's an average 2 points a game. So I must admit, I'm like yourselves, guys. I just feel tomorrow this will be a big test for Livingston, and I think Hearts will win handsomely.
Yeah, listen, I've got to say, I know Club of Mine, we had a tweet in earlier on saying that we were a wee bit biased down here talking about the Rangers and Celtic European exploits, but Hearts were on the tip of my tongue to speak about it, and I think it's absolutely magnificent what's happening at Tynecastle right now. And I just looked at their support last week, that 3,000 in that away end at Motherwell coming through for Edinburgh says it all where Hearts are right now, and if they get ahead of steam, they're supporting their team with pride. That's the way they sing their songs, and they're absolutely a brilliant support. Really had 2 great seasons here with the Hearts fans, and they're brilliant, and go back to the odd game and what have you, and they're really, really nice people. I love the Hearts. I think they're a great club, and delighted they've been through a wee bit as well. Couldn't get results at Murrayfield, waiting in their stadium, getting ready, and Budge coming in, Big Craig taking no getting it right, stripping it all back in the summer, going down the route of big and strong and bold, and deserves massive credit for doing it. I think it's great.
And I'll tell you something else, which of course shows intent from them. They've bust their budget this week, signing Sean Clare. No, they've bust their budget. They've gone 6 figures, and bust their budget, signing the boy Sean Clare, who was at Gillingham on loan.
Yes.
But I think it was Bury was his last club.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking to myself there, that really does show intent.
Without a doubt, I think the more they do, there'll be a full house tomorrow. I don't know what the new stand has brought as in attendance figures and what the max is now at Tynecastle, but listen, you'll find out that it'll be full there tomorrow, and it's a great occasion when Hearts and Tynecastle's full. Higgs, we've played there, we've been there. It's a great club. You've been there, and you know what it's like. They're a brilliant support. They always get behind their team, and I think it'll be a great occasion. But yeah, listen, Gary Holt's just come in and just let's steady the buffers here. I really don't need to do too much. What's been done before me has been great. Spade work, groundwork, call it what you may, and I'll just continue to keep it going and just tweak it here and there and put my background team together and get players fit and play the same shape and up at them, and it's a clash of the big strong teams tomorrow.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is there a similarity between them a wee bit? I mean, Hearts have got a wee bit more class and style in terms of quality of players, but they are quite similar in certain ways at certain times.
Yeah, they are, but you would expect the quality, a wee bit more quality being Gorgie Road. There's no doubt about that.
I would expect a lot more quality being there. What I'm saying though is that quality has to get an opportunity to shine. Are Livy the type of team that can stifle that kind of quality?
I think Livy will just come and play their normal game, and I think, even what Livy did in the first game of the season and going to the champions and no getting turned over and nicking one, said, the fact that, they're not going to be a pushover. And I don't think they'll look at any game and be overawed with it, be rabbit in the headlights. I think if they're big, strong characters, then that said a lot when you go into big games, and it's a big game for them tomorrow. But the start they've had's been incredible. It's been a brilliant start, especially what they've been through with the Kenny Miller and Holty coming in, and just continuing what they've been doing. But I think it's all about the Hearts. The Hearts, you said, you spoke earlier on, you gave me food for thought when you went, listen, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that the Hearts could maybe win their next 2-3 games before you know it. Christmas is in top of us.
Well, here's one for
and
you.
They're in it.
Here's one
you
for
know
you.
What I mean?
Here's one that we haven't even discussed. Hearts are undefeated in 10 games since the start of the season. That's in league and cup matches.
Yeah, well.
So, to go 10 games undefeated, that's no mean feat.
No, it isn't. And as I said, there is a head of steam, and you look at what Hearts did in previous years and weren't expected to stay up there. And I'm stripping it back all the years ago when they nearly won the league and should have won the league and lost it at Dens Park, and it still sticks in the throats of the Gorgie Road fans. There's no doubt about it. The run they had that year, and then I went the next year and got to know a wee bit about the club, and it's a brilliant club. I just hope they continue to do what they're doing. They're a great set of fans, great club, well run, I believe now with Anne Budge, who, you know, certainly put her money where her mouth is, and backs the manager, backs the board, and you know, Jambo's through and through, and that's what you like to see: an owner, a manager, backroom staff put right, players coming in to fit what he wants to do, and he stripped it right back, and I like the idea of it.
Heggs, they're in good company, the Jambos, because Juventus, Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain also undefeated at the beginning of the domestic seasons. So the Jambos are in fairly, you know, heady company there.
Aye, that's about all, isn't it? If you play against these clubs, then you get out, but I've got to agree with what you were saying. And Budge has been fantastic, because anything the managers wanted, you know, this is before the season, he's got, and obviously it's now come to fruition because he's got the players in that he's wanted. They are a big, strong side, especially from the back, and obviously up front. The middle, they're lively, you know, they're athletic, they're getting about people. They've got Naismith, who's small, but just a thorn in the flesh of the opposition. Yes. And I just think, like, once Hearts get their dander up, I think, you know, Hugh's right. You know, it's a fantastic stadium. It's a place when you go there, and if the home team, which is Hearts, are playing well, then it's a tall order. And I just think tomorrow is a real test. It's very similar to what Livingston played the first game of the season against Celtic. This is another test to see what they can do. And if they get something out of the game, which I doubt, would be a fantastic result for Gary Holt and his team. But I just think the way that Hearts are playing at this moment in time, and that's without Christophe Berra, the captain. You know, he's going to be back probably December time. But that just shows you sometimes when that happens, Bill and you, that somebody else has got to take up the reins, take up the mental, the way with John Suter, you know, sort of doing the business when Christophe Berra's not there. And then when that happens, people flourish, and they just sort of get stronger and better as the weeks go by. And then what happens is you get Christophe Berra coming back in the team, and now Hearts are even more flying. But we didn't get carried away, because the league is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's 9.5, 10 months to get the results and obviously get the championship. But they've done themselves no harm whatsoever with picking up 15 points first 5 games.
Great start, and big test last week going and win at Fir Park. That was a test. Could they go and win? Hard place to go. We've seen the Old Firm going there and struggling, Aberdeen going struggling, getting results there. Hearts went 1-1-0. They keep the ball rolling, and I think they beat Livingston tomorrow. And I'm going to go with the scores first. I'm going to go Hearts 3, Livingston 1.
Okay, Paul?
3-0 Hearts.
3-0 the Jambos.
Okay, so you're both going for the 3 for the Jambos.
Well, we Naismith, you know, Big Higgs has said it there as well, and Big Moyes came out today in the paper and saying he wasn't overly surprised that Big Alec has come out and went, listen, Naismith right now is my number one striker. He probably is one of our number one striker. When you see him playing week in, week out with a team who are at the top of the Premier League, you're entitled to say he's my number one striker.
And here's the other thing, this season he starts the season fit, whereas he came not fit.
Good pre-season, Bill.
Yeah, he came not fit to the Jambos.
And of course, he's kicked on for Laffert, he's moved on.
Absolutely.
But don't ask me to say the big boy's name, it plays up front. Ikpeazu. Easy for to say. Actually, when you think about it. Ikpeazu.
It's only taken me a month to learn it.
Ikpeazu. Tell me he's big, strong and effective.
I like him. I think he's great. I think he's class.
So that's
that's
a good bit of scouting done there. Word of mouth. Managers probably went to see him, fancied him, done the business, got him up the road.
Nice weekend in Cambridge.
Nice wee weekend in Cambridge, as you do. And he's doing the business for them. So good luck to Jambo.
All right, listen, before...
You know what I like as well, I like Naismith. Naismith, he sort of likes responsibility. Young Naismith, you know.
Yes.
I know he's young. He's much younger than me, but you know, he's only 31, 32.
I know what you mean.
You know, he's smashing in. He just loves the responsibility, and obviously you can see the younger players. Obviously, his example just shines through the club, and the way that he plays the game. You know, he plays it really, really hard. Wants to win the game. Wants to win 50-50s. And wants to score goals, and that's what he's doing at this moment in time. Yeah,
experience, good player, Premier League player. Did well with Everton and Norwich. He did better at Everton, he did at Norwich, but he came back up, and by the way, financially, I know Hearts will be, forking out there to make him happy on a contract. So, good signing.
All right, let's take a break and we'll come back and look at the Sunday fixtures on Talking Football.
Love music, live sport. Talking Football with Bill Young, Hugh Burns and Paul Hegarty on Rock Sport Radio.
Okay, we're heading towards 8 o'clock. Don't forget, Just the Juniors with John Redmond and Bill Kilgour tonight, and special guests talking only about junior football across Scotland.
Who is a special guest?
I don't know. They put it up on Twitter, but
you
forgot
should
to
know
put
that.
his name. It says here, our studio guest tonight, and then never put his name.
Well, that's nonsense.
So I don't know who it is.
Blame the juniors. Just blame the juniors. That's what
well, you know me, I'll pass the buck to anybody.
Well, there should be a headline there saying there's pair of guys sitting out there ready to come on. We're not even telling the folk who it is. Did they go on? Do you agree, Paul?
It's John McEwen, apparently.
McEwen.
Shots Bonaccord.
Oh, well, don't mess about with the shots, boys, I tell you.
He looks as if he might have been a goalie. He's about 17 feet high.
Well, don't mess about up there in shots. Take the pavements in at night, never not there, man. Don't mess about up there.
That's where our transmitter is.
Shots?
Yeah.
Oh,
Kirka shots.
Jail up here and on. I've not seen that one.
Listen, really? You've still got one to visit?
Great laugh.
Let's move on and look at the Sunday fixtures. Kelly against Celtic at Rugby Park.
Higgs?
It's a naughty one, Hugh, isn't it? It's a real difficult one. I must admit, Celtic are not firing all cylinders. You know, they're just managing to win games, just sort of grinding results out. And I feel as well over the last 2 or 3 seasons have set really high standards. Now teams are sort of setting their stall out against Celtic, making it very difficult, you know, for them to penetrate and try and score goals. They've only scored 5 goals in 5 games, so by their standards it would probably be in likes of what Hearts have scored this year, you know, something like 11, 12 goals, but they seem to find goal scoring at this moment in time a bit of a problem. That's because the opposition are getting people behind the ball, pressing them, giving them no room to manoeuvre. I think it's going to be a difficult game for Celtic. I just feel at this moment in time they are grinding results. They got a good result against Rosenborg last night, albeit they left it late. Kilmarnock, it could be a leveller, you know, a home game at Rugby Park on the surface. I know Stevie Clark will be desperate to get a result against the champions, but I just feel at the moment in time Stevie Clark's probably upset with what's been happening in the papers and obviously the referees. I know it'll be completely away from it when the game starts on Sunday, but I think he's really upset with the points he's dropped. I know he's gained 7 points, but he's probably thinking he could have had at least the same as Livingston and Celtic, which would be 10. So he'll be concentrating in his own team, but I just feel it'll be a very tight encounter, guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Kilmarnock will go into the game fancying their chances, there's no doubt about it. Scored a couple of goals, got themselves back into the game last week at Kilmarnock at Easter Road, and the boy Greg Stewart, Bill, seems to be really living up to
goal that was.
Reputation, cutting in on that left.
And of course, Stevie Clark talking about referees and things like that, the penalty. You know, for me,
I just wish Stevie Clark would stop talking about referees right now, Bill. I know he'll have his thoughts, but it's very, very easy to go on week in, week out, and it's something that it can be a stigma. It can stick to you then, and sometimes referees get a wee bit fed up reading about it as well. They're only human, these guys, you know, that way. And listen, it's not something that I would expect Steve Clark to continue going on about it. It seems to be week in right now. They're going to draw a line. take it over the course of the season. You've heard that it pans out, you get a wee rub of the green here or there, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I think they got their soul back into the game last week. Hibs went on and won the game. They'll be disappointed, but as form and goes and as ability, Kilmarnock will fancy their chances. Celtic, as we've said, Higgs nailed it. Celtic they're no flowing right now. They're no spark, as Murdo says on a Monday. That spark was only there once this season, and it was at Celtic Park against the Rangers. And I think apart from that, I've not seen Celtic going there. Are going anywhere and really getting anybody, turning them over. And I think Kilmarnock will fancy their chances Sunday. It'll be a great game, look forward to it. Kilmarnock always fancy their chances, whoever are playing anyway at home, being on that 4G. Does help the home team again, there's no doubt about it. Celtic will go and play the way they like to pass the ball. But as form goes, it's eeksy-peeksy for me.
I'm hearing that Encham will be missing.
He will.
And Aya could be missing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's going to be an interesting one in terms of team selection as well. I got to be honest with you. If I was Steve Clarke, I would have watched last night's game and said they'll be less happy about coming to play us than we'll be playing them.
Yeah. I think Kelly will fancy their chances, I really do. I think they'll have taken a lot away from Easter Road. They'll go in there, listen, Boydie's known the team, he's playing up front with the boy Eamon Brophy, and Greg Stewart just off him. I think that's the way they're playing. But again, very, very strong, hard to beat, hard to break down, and I think they entertain Celtic on Sunday and give themselves a right fighting chance. I think that could be a wee shot.
I think Jones could cause a problem for Lustig.
I think you're right. I think it could get in about him, go and beat him, especially on that surface. Lustig could really be caught out on that surface. I think you're right. And then I think if they go and press, wee Burkie's got to sail on the team as well, playing wide right as well. If he'll go and try and look after Tierney, the counter-attack. I think Kilmarnock's got a wee chance. I think they'll look at it. They've had no bad start, sitting there on 7 points. They beat Celtic on Saturday. They could be up in second, third place there. So I'm going to go for a wee shot on Sunday. Wee shot for me. I'm going to go.
Okay, well, don't tell us what the score just yet. Okay. Let's hear what Higgs has to say.
Yeah, okay.
I just think Celtic will make a couple of changes, Hugh, because of what's happened over the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Yes, and freshen up. And they players that will come in might be like a Ryan Christie or people like that. They might just be enough and do enough to get them over the line. But I don't think Brendan Rodgers is too happy with what's happening in the way they're playing. And by all accounts, the fans are obviously happy with the result last night. But they're looking for probably better performances and the way that Celtic can play in the past. It's just not happening now. But like everything else. It's like the old firm, Celtic or Rangers. That's sometimes when they're most dangerous.
Yeah, good
when
point.
They're not doing particularly well.
Yes.
And then before you know it, it could be plenty goals galore. But I just feel, if you can get Celtic, just what you're saying, Burke against maybe Tierney and cause him a bit of problem, stopping him getting forward, and getting at Lustig, that could be a problem. But I just think Celtic might make 2 or 3 changes and just freshen it up and say, by the way, guys, we're not doing particularly well. We've got to do something better than this, and we've got to get back in the pack and make sure that we don't let Hearts get away with another 3 points. Could you imagine a victory for Kilmarnock on Sunday, and that means 8 points that Hearts are ahead of Celtic at this time of the season? I know it's a long way to go, but that's not what Brendan Rodgers and Celtic are looking for. They're looking to be top of the league, as like Rangers. And I just feel at this moment in time, Celtic have got to do what they've been doing apart from this season. Last couple of season, guys, they've been magnificent, but teams now have found them out and they've got to try and change their style or change their personnel.
Hegs, it's interesting what you just said about if Kelly take the points and how far behind Hearts Celtic are, but if they lose and Rangers win, they then become a point behind Rangers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of permutations there. And I know a lot of things are going to happen before those permutations come in place, but it could juggle the pack quite interestingly.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah, I definitely do. I think what's great about this league at the moment, Hearts have set the tone, set the standard, and it's up to the Old Firm, along with Hibs and obviously Aberdeen, way down the pecking order, to do something about it. And it's great for Scottish football. It's a freshness. That's what you want. You don't want the same rigmarole. I certainly don't want the same rigmarole, the same teams being top of the league. I want a freshness. I want somebody taking up the mantle and saying, by the way, this is not going to happen this season. We're going to give it our best shot. And at this moment in time, Hearts are doing it.
So you can tell me what you think now, Mr. Burns, in terms of a result.
Kilmarnock 2, Celtic 1.
Oh, right, okay. Heggs?
I'm just going to think there'll be a freshness. I'm going to go 2-1 Celtic.
Okay. Let's move to the final fixture in the Premier League for the weekend, and that is Rangers against St Johnstone at Ibrox.
Yeah.
You can start with this one, Sean.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Sunday, Armed Forces Day as well. Always a great occasion. I'm doing a wee bit of work there myself in the fan zone on Sunday. Looking forward to doing that and letting listen to what people's thoughts are and what they're thinking of the season so far. I think there's a good feel good factor. There's no doubt about that right now. Going about the club and results like last night just adds even more to the gate. In fact, it'll be a full house anyway, because I think week in, week out it is full houses and tickets are hard to come by. I think talking about freshness, he may well add one or two players to the squad, chop and change it, rest a few, but you can't turn up there on Sunday expect just to win the match. St Johnstone have had a great start. The boy Shaughnessy again is talking about the freshness of players that they've brought in. Again, we talk about the wee winger that they brought in, Kennedy from who was down south.
Tony Watt
as well. What? Tony Watt, he's doing the business. Don't start that again.
Season.
But he has, and it is about Tony Watt, and he's scoring goals and a freshness about him as well. And
more than that, he's kind of developed a wee bit of maturity.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think he's just maybe
learned about
sometimes you learn
it's
the hard
now
way.
or never.
Yeah, of course, that's right. And they've given him a platform to go on, and that's hopefully he's going to grab the opportunity. But again, it'll be a great atmosphere. And Rangers will look to go and win the game, and they'll look to win every game. And if they play the way they played in Villarreal, play the way they played against Dundee last week, then they're probably on paper stronger than St Johnstone, but St Johnstone will make a game of it. There's no doubt about that. St Johnstone always come and enjoy the occasion at Ibrox. Always play well organised, hard to beat. With two or three new players coming in, make them even harder to beat. But I think it's what Rangers do. It's what Rangers do in the day, whether they'll bring in different players. Morelos probably will come back in. Koulibaly looked a wee bit unfit last night. Might play him again to get the match fitness because he looked okay against Dundee, Bill. Who will he play wide right? He might start with Middleton, leave Ryan Kent out a hard shift. Will he start with Halliday? Might start with Dorrans, who come on. So suddenly he's got a wee bit in depth there that he can chop and change, and if it's not going well, go back to what's got him up the league. So apart from when you say the Aberdeen result and Celtic, Motherwell lost goal, Rangers should be further up that league right now. They know that, but they know they're beginning to come good, and there's a good bit of momentum going round about the ground right now. Good feel good factor, and there's no doubt about it. They can win the game Sunday, no doubt.
Heggs?
Interesting thing is, Rangers have had no bad season, but St Johnstone have exactly the same points, the same number of games, drawn the same number of games, and lost the same number of games as Rangers. So something's got to give tomorrow, unless it's a draw at Ibrox, which I doubt, because I've got to agree with you again. Rangers have got the momentum. Winning comfortably at Ibrox last week against Dundee, magnificent result in Spain, and I feel at this moment in time they have got the momentum. Plus they've got it's like all big clubs. They've got the stronger squad. They've got players that can come in, drop a hat, cause problems for their fellow players, and try and stay in that team. I must admit, St Johnstone and Tommy Wright, I think the best thing that happened this year was St Johnstone not making Europe, and it gives them a fresh, clean start, a clean, fresh state in regards to getting them for the league up and running. And I just feel as well, guys, that he's got and recruited really well. There's a bit of fullness. there's a bit of experience in his team. Just what you were saying about Kennedy and the boy Tony Watt. Shaughnessy, the centre back's done ever so well, but it's a real baptism for him tomorrow, because he'll have to be reeling his toes at the back to sort of try and nullify the Rangers strikers. But this is probably the happiest I think Tony Wright has been over the last, I would say, 18 months, because he's got the players in that he's wanted, and it shows, especially in his league position, 8 points, same number as Rangers, and I think something's got to give tomorrow, and I think it will be a home victory.
Heggs, was Tommy on the TV tonight? Have you seen him talking about the game, and if so, what was his demeanour and what was his thinking?
No, I never saw him on the television tonight in Grampian. I might have missed it, but I know, reading in the press, the local press, he's really been happy with his performances. He was probably obviously disappointed with the game last week, losing midway through the second half with equaliser from again for Aberdeen, but he's been really happy with the performances, and obviously the players that's come in from down south, and obviously Tony Watt come in as well. The only disappointing thing for St Johnstone that I feel for is obviously, the tendencies. It's very difficult to get crowds at McDermott Park at the best of times, and it must be really galling and difficult for the players and obviously for the manager. But what he does, guys, is nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, they Ferners want to get their finger out and start getting the tractors doing, getting her out of their cell out there. Heggs, what's the score? What do you think? And the game's no tomorrow, Heggs. The game's Sunday. You said
it's Sunday. I beg your pardon. Sorry, I think it'll be Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0.
I think St Johnstone maybe nick one, but I think Rangers are due to give somebody a real spanking, guys. I really do.
And you think it might be St Johnstone, despite the fact you said they usually enjoy the day and come and play well?
I'm going to go 3-1 Rangers.
3-1?
3-1 the Teddy Bears.
Do you expect Rangers to make many changes?
Yeah, I do.
Personnel.
Yeah, I think they'll make 4 or 5 changes for last night. I think they'll do that. And
could Foderingham come in?
No. I think Foderingham will play on Wednesday. I think
against Dare.
Yeah, I think he'll play against Dare. Am I right in saying they played the first game against? Is this Rangers' first game in the cup? No, they played before. I can't remember off the top of my head. Heggs probably.
Do you think the players will bring in tomorrow will eat some horses for courses for the Premier League? Or for the players that had last night against Villarreal, do you think obviously that suited Rangers to play the
last night? Yeah, I think it suited the shape, but I think there'll be players that'll come in and be like for like. I think Doran should come in and do the Halliday role. I think Middleton can come in and do the Ryan Kent role. I think Morales can come in and maybe he might rest Lafferty, and I think he might bring in Ross McCrory and find a place for him on Sunday as well. So I think he'll chop and change it. I think there'll be a few changes. I don't think he'll change it. I'm trying to think who Rangers beat in the last cup game.
I don't know. If Lewis was actually listening to us, then he might tell us.
Because they played Fotheringham, didn't they? They played Fotheringham in the last cup game. Just trying to think who it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I think Fotheringham will play Wednesday. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, alright. Pretty much that, guys, but an exciting fixture, and we haven't got a lot of time, if any, to talk about it. In fact, we haven't got any time to talk about it. But an interesting top of the table tussle tomorrow.
Top of the table tussle with Tommy Wright and Tony Watt.
Top of the table
Tommy Wright, Tony Watt.
In the Championship with Ross County at home to Inverness Cally Thistle. So that's going to be an interesting one. 1 point separating them, goal separating them as well.
I might go to that.
You might go to that one.
I'll leave the new.
Is that what you're doing the first half? You go to the first half there and then pick up a second half somewhere else?
I might. Can you get me some Diggs and Dingwall? Do you know MD up there, Bill?
I do actually.
Diggs and Dingwall.
Diggs and Dingwall for a top of the table tussle. Not off.
Jump us to goalposts.
Boys, thank you very much.
Have a good weekend, Heggs.
Good weekend.
Cheers, Hugh. Cheers, Bill.
Cheers, mate.
And we'll see you next week. We'll see you on Monday. It's that people now call you the Chuckle Brothers, you and Murdo. So we'll see you on Monday. Go and get your abscess sorted.
Tuesday for that.
Tuesday, oh God.
Root canal.
Bare little sore.
I don't know what he's got to do with the moose.
It'll take a lot to fill that. Have a good weekend. That's it from me. I'll be back with Murdo and Hugh on Monday. Bill and John with Just the Juniors next.
Love music, live sport. Talking Football with Bill Young, Hugh Burns and Paul Hegarty on Rock Sport Radio.